Hi guys, how is everybody, my wonderful YouTube family, doing? Thank you guys for those of you who never let me go. You check up on me even when I don't put up a reaction. Highly appreciate it. I hope your day is doing well. I pray for all of you guys in Jesus' name. I am relaxing today in my house and I thought let me do a little reaction. It's been a while. It's been a little while. Anyways, I have to do a reaction with Rocio's note, Rocio's letter to her viewers that she has malaria. Now, I wanted to react on this since she put it out, but I haven't been feeling well. So emotionally, I just didn't have the grace to come and say this. It is obviously a lie. Why is it a lie? First of all, if Rocio, we've had other people who've had malaria at Aymara's house, such as Michele Ponte, and yes, he ended up going to Nairobi in order to get treated, but there was no reason for it to be kept a secret. Rocio just disappeared for 2 whole weeks, okay, and then resurfaced with some bogus letter that she's undergoing malaria treatment and she's not feeling well. Well, first of all, before she even surfaced, Aymara had already met with her or reunited with her, and they apparently must have come with figured out what kind of excuse do we give these people. And the interesting thing is, if she has malaria and she needed to go to Nairobi, I don't think that she would necessarily have to take Mitoto with her. If you're not sick, I don't think you're gonna be. If you're sick with malaria, I don't think you're gonna be nursing your baby. So this also doesn't make sense why she took Mitoto with her. It looks like it was an anger, a split, and an escape method, and maybe because Nairobi is usually the capital where they have to fly from if they need to go abroad, or maybe it was a secret escape to Argentina that nobody knows about in light of how many days it took her of silence, that she may have indeed escaped to Argentina and came back, and he went ahead and got her, and it may have been definitely an attempt to leave. Especially why we have evidence. Aymara was chaperoning with single fathers forever with the fear that he was going to be a single father, but then the wife decided that she's going to take the baby with her, so naturally it wasn't about being a single father. So it was, now she had to make up with the wife, and you could see how much Aymara misses the baby as he takes the baby along on a stroll, before we finally see Rocio making up her mind to come and show up on camera. And to the point, this fight was so severe. If she had malaria, and having malaria, by the way, it was no excuse to not doing videos. Especially, remember Michele Ponte. Michele Ponte was doing videos throughout his malaria. In fact, it was while he was undergoing treatment of malaria in Nairobi that he broke up from the Marwa family. That was the big brawl over the phone, over the live conferencing that he had, live YouTube video that he put out. All right, where Aymara came into the video. I think he eventually erased his comments, okay? And Aymara started responding to Michele Ponte, cussing out Michele Ponte while Michele Ponte was only defending himself. And then Dee Mwango on the following day, as soon as she hears about it, she goes and she posts, because Michele Ponte had actually defended her, saying that the only reason why he would not rat on Mara's family was because he respected the sister. So then at the time, Dee Mwango was being deceived, or allowing herself to be deceived, buying out JB Bonite in Philippines. So she puts out this, and I remember how the family of JB that she eventually had issues with, okay, they were all laughing with her about how Michele Ponte was a cheap guy, poor guy, who she helped, when Michele Ponte said that he's the one who had helped her. Anyway, all of that. So all of this, when we look at it, malaria is a lame excuse. I mean, you could have found something better than malaria. But then again, when we think about the word malaria, let's play with words, guys. Let's do a little pun on words for my keyboard reactors who are here. A little pun on words. Malaria. Mal. You guys know mal in French and the Latin languages means bad. Mala, even in Spanish, means bad. How, what a coincidence, that beautiful word, But I'm thinking that they probably originally got that word because malaria kills, right? So malaria. So mal area. So let's take it this way. Mal in French, the mal area. Like the area is bad. But anyway, it's just a play of words, guys. Don't twist it around. I know it doesn't necessarily, don't take it literally. I'm just playing with the words, the pun of the word malaria. This is a word that they selected as the disease that she had to cause this 2 weeks disappearance from YouTube. The reality is, let's look at the reality. I've already discussed this with you. It is very difficult for Rocio, all right, from her point of view, to really hybridize or enmesh herself within a black culture. Forget about African, because she can go to South Africa and join with the Afrikanese. But within the black culture, okay, because of the atrocities that we see that is happening as a result of colorism, okay, in the Latin Americas and in Americas, that blacks are not welcome, particularly in Latin American cultures. You see, the thing about like American culture, you have colorism. In Haiti, you have a class system. It's beyond colorism. Colorism, they don't need it in Haiti because they could just be blatantly colorist and racist, saying, oh, you're too black, oh, go and bleach your skin. I've been approached in a very polite way to go and bleach my skin by my own cousin, okay, who was offering me one of those skin lightening creams. And they think that they have a right to it. They think that they have a right to being lighter skinned. So naturally, in the Latin American cultures, we do not see blacks being promoted. We do not see blacks being respected. A black woman like me, okay, is not respected in Latin communities, okay? And then when I was younger, I would be put down with the guise of men. They use men who even identify themselves as Haitian to reduce all of my values to below what they consider as below their feet. Not that I have to practice anything. They just have to practice their own. I don't want to say santeria, because then that would be stereotyping, but their own discriminatory practices within their culture. So it is very difficult for Rocio, who has not considered black Americans as somebody that she can see at her level, okay, to say that she is going to accept all of us parasites around her. So she may have gotten tired of us parasites and needed to get away. And I am Marwa, loving the white woman, wanting and lusting for the white woman, cannot understand that aspect of the Spanish culture that Rocio has embraced. Now, do I say that all Latinos are like that? No. There are certain types of Latinos who may be able to embrace what Rocio cannot. But based on Rocio's words and her actions, she is obviously the typical racist who cannot embrace blacks. Can she change? Guys, the only way that a person who is racist or colorist or whatever you want to call it can change is if they are stuck within a community that they scorn, that is tolerant of each other, that love themselves. Like if Rocio was stuck in a black loving black community where she is so far in love with Marwa that she wants him no matter what, and Marwa was in love with black women, Rocio would have taught herself to be tolerant. But she is in a society where she is placed on a pedestal because of her color. So consequently, it is not possible for Rocio to ever see us at her level. She sees herself as above us. And even if she says she doesn't, deep down inside, she does. Okay? She does. And then she is treated as such by the husband and by those who have accepted her. So it's not that I am being intolerant or I can't stand her. I understand that there are certain Latino people who are very tolerant. In fact, I can tell you, in my growing up, at least in South Florida, I remember there being Latinos who were, in fact, even in my adulthood when I purchased this home, Latinos used to be very, very humble, and if I have the means to pay for something, they would work for me. But right now that is no longer the case. Like, most Latinos will not work for me, and because they have acquired a sort of power, like of unity. Yeah, they have the unity that we blacks should have among ourselves for our own freedom, so that they can help each other scorn blacks. So that is the poder, la poder de ser Latino Americano. Me, I am not Latina, okay? Yo soy, I'm Francophone from a colonist point of view. I'm not Francophone, or from a colonized point of view, from enslavement. Okay, so therefore I cannot assimilate with Latino. If I were Latina, okay, I don't know how I would survive even, because I think one of my major problems for encountering the harsh colorism that I have is because of Latinas encountered back in the 90s. When I was naive, I didn't realize the subliminal behaviors that would eventually lead to deprivation of family, deprivation of social comfort. Because I used to be one that was like, people just would see me and they would know me. But after my encounters, I realized that a lot of things happened. And even, I guess I may be speaking from the bias of tickets that I got early this month, unfairly. Okay, as I noticed that the demographics of my community is changing. I may be speaking from that bias, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, look at the way I survive when I behold my life on a daily basis, and I realize the causes and effects. I realize it was after such encounters. So that's where I can understand Rocio, and I understand certain, like, I also understand the help I used to get when I first purchased my home, and I also understand the change that I saw in the community as Latinas and Latinos acquired power. It's all about them. They love their families, they live well among themselves. So when it comes to a black woman or whoever you are trying to survive, they well imply to a stronger degree the racism that Martin Luther King died for. So I understand Rocio in that point where she's acquired her guy, which has given her the power or the protection that she needs against those blacks who are fighting against inferiority impositions upon us. And depending on whatever it is that their discussion is, that Rocio has her limitations, that she doesn't want to deal with us. She doesn't want to fight a black struggle. She's not about fighting her black struggle. It's all about her and now her child and her man. Okay, it's not about us and whatever the man has to give to her. It's not about us. Like me, I hung on to this platform because it supports my fight. So Rocio is not about us. It's about retaining and securing her own selfish gains. Okay, so it's not about the black community. So yes, there may be Hispanics who may be about the black community, but Rocio is one among the many that I have encountered lately who is not about the black community. And one of the things that I know as I am saying that, I will be scorned for what I say by everybody who cannot understand the black struggle. I will be scorned for what I say here. Because as a black person, when I see a fallacy in a group behavior, I will be scorned. Okay, I am scorned for seeing it in blacks. I'm scorned for seeing it in whites. Like, I'm not gonna say I've seen it in all whites. I can say I grew up with many whites who never displayed it. I've seen it in blacks, and I have recently seen it in Latin Americans. So the thing is about other groups of people is that some of us, like, we like to hang around our own, you know what I mean? So, but some of us may not have been raised with our own. Some of us maybe have been raised in a hybrid communities where we've seen many types of people. So because of my own issues with colorism within the black community, I was exposed to various groups of people. And I in my own self am prejudiced because it takes me a long time to be comfortable among black people as a black person. So one can say that I am colorist in that sense because of my own atrocities of boys picking fights with me since second grade, calling me blackie, go back to Africa, all kinds of things. And for that, I have become afraid of my own race. It took a long time for me to be able to embrace my race, okay? But unfortunately, my own race kicked me out of my own mother's house, out of racism and colorism. All right, it was about who's being lighter skinned. And I was forbidden to really speak of it out of hypocrisy, And so this is the irony that I myself face. So I've always found, like, white, for example, they're gonna see all blacks as the same, and for that reason I was most comfortable with people who judge me the same as other blacks rather than with blacks who judge me as inferior to them. So when among Hispanics, you might think, oh my God, these people are white, but they're not white. They consider themselves with the 1% if given the opportunities of the 1%. Okay, but at the same time, the Hispanic group has more or less removed themselves from being white or black. It is what the New Orleans Creoles consider as a part of survival, because you have to realize that they also may not have black, maybe, but most of them do, but most of them also have indigenous blood, which also gives them power in the Americas. So to really understand where Rocio is coming from, okay? But then I have learned that, like, I'm not of them. So so I cannot even say that, okay, blacks were misbehaving when doing childhood around me, and now they may not see me as okay, so I'm not gonna be comfortable. And I also know that I'm not also comfortable around Latinas because they sneer behind my backs. I've met, so even back in college, I remember before I learned Spanish, I remember not knowing the language and all of the little subliminal messages that were being told about me. And you have to realize that in Haiti, Okay, language is used to separate color, and it is done severely by Latin Americans, even here in the United States, because they will in your face speak their language and then say that you're discriminatory if you don't allow them to speak it. Whereas us Haitians, it's not like we were necessarily allowed to speak our language. It's like discriminatory. So if we're gonna speak English, we all speak English, but it's not fair that one language dominates over the other. So I understand it takes time for people to learn a language, but when you are in a community and you go to common stores and then everybody and the people are behaving like they don't speak English just so that they could let their own go before you, like in lines. I learned, like, not to go to these supermarkets, because I noticed how sometimes they would purposely take 30 minutes to help one customer in front of me if I'm in line, because I'm usually the only black person. And then it's also weird when you have Miami, where there are so many black people living in Miami, yet if you go to certain communities, you're the only black person. So that's again segregation, and language is used as a barrier to create that segregation. So this is the characteristics that I see for Rocio. Okay, as much as she may have embraced her black African man, she's in Africa, she wanted to be in Africa, but deep down inside she holds those stereotypes, or not even stereotypes, she holds those practices against black people and stereotypes against African Americans, which shows you how she must feel in a community of black people surrounding her, behaving comfortably like us, like we want to behave, being us, being freely us, human, just like she can be freely human in her country if she chooses that. And we who are in America reaching out to Africa for our freedom, and then coming to do all that imposition. So you can understand why Rocio needed to take that time off. I guess we become the malaria, the Malaria, okay, for her. So that Marwa had to go and reconcile with her for whatever reason. I don't know how he's going to behave toward us, but he cannot behave any worse toward us because he is among his own. Speaking being of among your own. So he's showing off the little mixed baby among his own. And, and he has to accept his mother. And of course, therefore, she has to accept his mother and his siblings, etc. And the attention that he is giving to his sister Dee Mwango, which is another problem that Rocio may have. So Rocio might be angry also because Marwa is giving so much attention to the sibling. But this is where Rocio would be wrong. You see, as I said, the Spanish people, they're poder. It's like we're Haitian people, because of our blackness, do not practice what the ancestors left, which is the forces in unity. All right, the Latin Americans do practice poder, is in the unity. The force is in the unity. So we see that Rocio has not been promoting black people. Black people have been promoting Rocio, okay? Everybody Rocio, there's people come to fight with me. I don't know if they're black, I don't know if they're Latina or whatever. Okay, they come and they fight for Rocio. I want you guys to go on Rocio's posts and tell me how many black people you see there. Yet you're going to see the tia, you're gonna see the tio, you're going to see the primo and primas, and the nephews and the nieces. Okay, you see all of that. You see all her family are being promoted on her channel, and that's all she cares about is her family in Argentina. All right, do you see her? Does she promote Dee Mwango? No. I don't even really see Rocio doing genuine collabs with Dee Mwango the way that Bo used to. Okay, Bo was a little off, I know, because she was a little confused. But at the same time, I saw Bo as more possibly accepting of black culture than Rocio Cabrera. Okay? So everybody on her post, it's not about the black struggle here. It's about poder, Argentinian poder, all of her family and only her family. So she shows you who's important to her. And yet, those blacks who come and fight me are gonna fight for Rocabrera, the one who is fighting for her family. Exactly what I said. They are very strong within themselves, but they are not about us, okay? They will put us down, and their racism will be even stronger than that of the whites, the white Europeans. Why? Because the Europeans have been challenged. They have been forced to set most of us free. But the mixed race have not been challenged because they have assimilated themselves as us. And so long as they can assimilate themselves with us and as us, and the deeper they can, the greater that they can practice colorism and racism and put us below their feet, okay, and acquire power of divide and conquer as they empower themselves within their Latin communities. And we who are racist and colorist and hate ourselves will only find, if we don't see it today, we will see it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line, or even to the next generation of little black babies who will have to suffer because of our mistake of tolerating the infiltration of colorism and of racism among us. Speaking of which, I am so sorry for the loss of Malcom Jamal Warner, The Cosby Show. I am shocked. It's sometimes unbelievable for me because I think, is it that this guy probably went there and disguised his death? But then again, I was thinking of Left Eye Lopez, who also died in a car accident, but then she was from that area. She was from Honduras, I think. And the interesting thing is, Malcom Jamal Warner was in the black section of Costa Rica. Lima, I don't know Costa Rica that well. Limon, Costa Rica. That was the black section. I've always been told by my white Costa Rican friends back in college, and I've also been told by, I remember my first job where I got fired at, in the hospital in New Jersey. All right, I was one of the techs, because I was in computer science back then, so it was in the computer engineering and information management systems. All right, one of them was black, a black man, and he identified himself as from Limon, Costa Rica. And because I had a friend from Costa Rica, I was very friendly in my youth. So, but this guy automatically gave me the air of non-friendliness, and it may have been because of my black color that I got that air, so I stayed away from him. But I do remember that he was from Limon, Costa Rica, but I kept in mind that. So when Malcom Jamal's death, I was like, what? Why are these black celebrities going to Latin American countries to die? Is it that they're disappearing and they choose to lose their identity? But, it's sort of like shocking to me. And the first thing that I do when I hear of a black celebrity or black public figure passing is I always look up their family information, especially if they're a man, even if they're a woman. I will look at their spouse. Was their spouse black? How tolerant was this person of black? How well did he support black? So I discovered that Malcom Jamal Warner had dated black women. I was like, oh my God, he was among the few celebrities who actually seemed to have had black women. And I noticed in Wikipedia, which is supposed to have their names, sometimes their parents' names and their wives' names, their spouses or their partners' names. So there were two black celebrities in Wikipedia that they put as his partners, which is Michelle Thomas, who passed away. Was it Michelle, her name? The one who passed away, who used to play his girlfriend on the Cosby Show. And then the other one was oh gosh, I forgot the name already. So the other woman was Regina King. And I'm like, these are black women. But then, they kept on talking about a daughter. So I looked it up and I'm like, oh my God. This girl, she might be black, but very high yellow, like very light skinned and, with the mixed features. So then I looked at the daughter, and the daughter was also mixed features. So then I'm like, oh my God, he didn't marry a black woman. He just dated those girls, and he dumped Regina King they said after 2 years, just abruptly. And Michelle Thomas, I guess they had broken up, but then she died young, So I'm like, what's going on here with these guys, And then the news came out, I think the day before yesterday, that when he died, he was swimming with his 8-year-old. I'm like, in Costa Rica, Limon, Costa Rica, swimming with your 8-year-old, and you die. And it says that there was a diver who dived in and saved the girl. And I'm like, if the diver could have saved the girl, why couldn't they save him? So then it occurs to me that the girl is a mixed baby. So it's easy for them to see a black man with a mixed 8-year-old, and maybe they considered the worst of him, that they may not even have seen the baby as his daughter. Maybe that's why they didn't save him. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know he was a celebrity in the United States. They could have thought that he was doing something wrong with the girl. And I'm like, is this it? Is this why Malcolm Jamal died? Could it have been? Because we think so little of what we do when we mix with people who are colorists. Or if you're gonna choose to be a colorist and you want your white woman, light-skinned or whatever woman, and then you go to these places, at least be aware of how they're gonna treat you. And this is the thing. It is important for us to know, okay, be we colorists or not, that just because we're gonna mix with somebody who is not of our color does not mean that everybody around them is going to treat us the same way. Because sometimes with our own progeny, they might harm us. I'm not saying anything, but I was suspicious as it was when I heard that this man died of something as stupid as drowning. How could such a star lose his life to drowning like that in Costa Rica? Jesus Christ, not even in the United States. That makes no sense. I mean, I could have understood if it was in California, but in a Latin country. Okay? So if we don't understand anything that was said today, to understand the whole malaria trick that Rocio conspired with Marwa to play with on us, think of the life of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Could it have been a different story had it been on a beach in California? If they were able to save the baby girl, wouldn't they have also been able to save him? So why would they have allowed him to die? If not for not realizing that that was the little girl's father, and the consequences that would have occurred in the suspicion that he was not the dad. That is a sad story. And a lot of us fall prey to this. So just because people may have a similar history as us of oppression by white people or whatnot, it doesn't mean that they cannot turn around and practice it because their color looks white. okay? Because of our own faults of self-hate. That's all I've got to say. I hope you guys have a great day, and be careful out there. All right? Be careful out there. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.